Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Strange Antiquities. Now fully launched, and surprisingly fully compatible with the saves from the demo we played not too far back, so I figured what the heck, we'll pick up right where we left off. Though of course I have made some updates to our general inventory, shuffled some things around, grouped like items, and most notably, set up a section specifically for our identified artifacts, also color-coded based on whether or not I perceive them as being dangerous. Green for beneficial, white for neutral, and then red for potentially dangerous. Though thus far, the only potentially dangerous artifact we have on hand is this one. The one that might be Zaya. Also, hey there Jupiter. Missed you, baby. Aw, such a cutie. That said, let's get back to it. And go to sleep. End of day 2. A deep pain radiated down the side of the rider's head where he had sliced himself with the diverging hook, and his thoughts were scattered and torn. He could not see out of his left eye. Oh, alright, well that's obvious. That's an outline for one of the lines of buildings on the map, with one building in particular highlighted. Day 3. Saturday. Right. First things first, let's check the map. Shouldn't be too hard to find one that fits this particular shape. Just off Prince's Street. They got tricky with it and changed the orientation. There is a narrow gap between the two houses, and I spy a small wooden chest wedged firmly inside. Slowly, I manage to work it loose, and when it finally comes free, it shoots out onto the hard ground and snaps open, revealing its long, hidden treasures. Ooh, that's cool. It's like a single hair preserved in some sort of solution. We'll toss those right up here. Start a second row of amulets. No shortage of those, it would seem. And ring in our first customer. Oh, sorry, Jupiter. I gotta remember to pet you before rang-a-dangin'. Francesca Robertson. Good afternoon. No, morning. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm Francesca Robertson, a doctor of sorts. I assume you heard about Mr. Hungerford. It seems to be the talk of the town already. I'm used to dealing with maladies of an occult nature, but black eyes are certainly unusual. I've heard of something like this before, but I don't see how it could be the same thing. Either way, I'm hopeful an evocant will have some effect. An evocant, you say? Well, let's have a look. Evocant. These stone items weigh the same as a man's heart, according to popular myth. The truth is a little less dramatic, but the weight of these items is nevertheless important and should not stray more than a hair from precisely 1 pound. They are placed on the chest of those in a coma to draw them out. So not much to go on. Made of stone, weighs precisely 1 pound. Okay, well, I mean, that's immediately our best prospect. Stone with red paint. Or perhaps blood. Hard and cool to the touch. Okay, I'm going to say that's probably it, but let's check a few other potential prospects first. We've got a rough and pitted floaty stone. Pulsating with power on one end, like a beating heart. Okay, yeah, the beating heart thing kind of threw me, but it's the wrong weight, so it's definitely not that. Possibly this, though. That also includes a fossilized creature, so I'm not sure they would count that as being... I notice a slight out-of-body feeling, like my hands belong to somebody else. No, that doesn't sound right. And again, wrong weight. Alright, no, I think we'll go with our first instinct. Doctor? Yeah. Very nice. Made of stone, weighs precisely 1 pound. Good luck with Mr. Hungerford. Which nets us papers for the Daedalus Link. A powerful object capable of producing a levitation field. Albeit a very fragile one. Mention of feathers. I don't think we have any feathered artifacts in stock right now. Oh yes, let's change this over to a green label. I'd say waking up from comas is a pretty positive effect. And on to the next. Oh, sorry, sweetheart. Temperence Parker. I had a quiet chat with Edmund Bishop and the Guilty Ram last night. He's always got an interesting story to tell, but last night he was different. I can tell he's worried, which has got me worried too. I know it's not much, but I'd like a shield charm all the same. A shield charm. Okay. Well, let's see what we can do. Shield charm. Generic charms of protection have little to offer the skilled thaumaturge, but can have some small effect. An oshotic spirit or a wandering shroud will not abide them, for example. Such charms make use of the art of symbology, an ancient and some would say primitive component of thaumaturgy. They can be made from a variety of materials, though rarely precious metals. Oh wow, they give us very little to go off of there. Something small enough to be handheld, not made of precious metal. Possibly bearing a symbol of protection? Ah, double diamond. Okay. There. Yeah. Symbol of protection engraved in cheap pewter. Framed with yellowed bone and bound with brown fabric. I'm going to say that's probably our guy. But just to be sure, let's see if anything else is also sporting a similar symbol. No, I think we're good. Here you go, Miss Parker. Bears a symbol of protection. Yep. Sometimes it's as simple as that. St. John's Anvil. Ooh, a magic plant. Interesting. Dampens sound. I would imagine that'll be fairly obvious if and when we examine it, since it would dampen sound while we're holding it. I will say, though, I was not expecting there to be magic plants. That was more Strange Horticulture's thing. Also, the Doctor, Francesca Robertson. Growing up, Francesca's father was her hero. When he died suddenly and tragically in a mysterious incident, nobody seemed able or willing to give her the answers she demanded, and she grew tired of being fed the same stories that she knew could not be true. As she entered adulthood, she learned how to find things out for herself, and what she learned opened her mind to a world she hadn't known existed. A world of occult maladies and dark articles. She learned about Tormund's paralysis, Hobbs' fear, and the Sapphire Curse. And she learned that these maladies could be cured. Right. Another key player in our brewing mystery. Hugh Langston. There's something I wanted to show you. I didn't like the look of it, so I left it where I found it. What if it's cursed? It was hanging behind an old shed, all overgrown with ivy. Let me draw a quick map for you. There. Okay, I'll certainly look into it, Mr. Langston. Thank you. Let's have a peek. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. We're looking for a branching path near some trees and a pond. Possibly a graveyard? Perhaps some other holy structure? A church or a convent? No, the convent's right in the middle of town. Got a pond up on north, but that's otherwise not a match. Though we could also be looking at a case of shifted orientation, not to mention, of course, unreliable narrator. Mr. Langston isn't a cartographer. He didn't draw us a precise outline. Trying to find this pallet-shaped lake, but the two I see aren't near terrain that would match the rest. I mean, I guess technically, just off High Green Church on north, number 4. So that's a stretch. Right, okay. Yes, they did get tricksy with the orientation and the unreliable narrator. It's down near number 28 here. The pond just north of Undermere Church. The map's an abstract, but it more or less matches up. Wouldn't have killed Mr. Langston to actually include street names, though. The shed is actually a wooden summer house that looks out over the pond. But it's clear that it hasn't been used in some time. Thick brambles claw their way up and over one side of the structure, and ivy covers the rest in a mottled green cloak. I find what I'm looking for to the rear. Parts of the ivy have been torn away recently, revealing an amulet hanging from a rusted nail. Something else catches my eye as I reach for it, and I notice that there is another pendant hanging next to it, almost completely hidden by the ivy. Pretty. Very autumn-themed. Boy, our amulet display is getting pretty cluttered. Let's pull the animal-themed ones up to the top. That actually works out pretty nicely, since that'll put these two right next to the other pretty clearly autumn-themed amulet. Next. Verona Green. Eli's picked a bad time to leave Undermere. I've come from the Hungerford house where I've been helping Dr. Robertson and looking for any clues about what happened there. There wasn't much to go on. I did find a shattered Oshotic vessel, but whatever did this was no creeping dark. There was a strange black stain on the flagstone floor that I didn't like the look of. And the ravens. Very unusual, but at least they seem to have dispersed. I don't know what to make of it. I'm going to take a trip to Gleeston Castle to see if Edmund Bishop can shed any light on their behavior. But first, I would like a vesiger. Whatever this is, we don't want it spreading. Oh, the vesiger. That's something to do with diseases and causing flames to burn blue. A vesiger can be used to prevent the spread of disease and pestilence. Among other oddities, flames burn pale blue in their presence. Right, so that's obvious. No real physical descriptor, but all we have to do is grab one of these candles and run it along our shelves here. In theory. Unless they expect us to pick up the artifacts and run them near the candles. Which would definitely be more awkward. Oh, no. There we go. That's got to be our vesiger. Good luck with Mr. Hungerford, who I'm now thinking might actually have been one of our customers on day one. I do vaguely recall giving someone an Oshotic vessel. Though we still have our Oshotic vessel, which does kind of beg the question of how exactly this shop works. Moonstone Guardian for the banishment of Hobsphere and Noctic Sight. Takes the form of a comforting guardian. They get really vague with some of these, with some of these clues. And end of day 3. Let me just get this vesiger properly sorted. Obviously, we'll do another day. That was like 15 minutes. More than ample enough time for at least one more. Hey, Jupiter. How you doing, baby? Sorry for waking you up so much today. Oh, also, yeah, that's why that symbol of protection looks so familiar. It's right there in the middle of our counter. That's actually a really fun detail. Alright, let's get some rest. End of day 3. 2 days earlier, the rider and his fellow adventurer were deep, underground, exploring the tunnels below the Kirkhead Tower, when they made a discovery. Their elation at their find would soon turn to horror. Key. After a disagreement between two houses, I was buried behind lock and key. Lock, capitalized and spelled with an E. You can't fool me with wordplay. You have merely adopted the wordplay. I was born in it. Molded by it. Lockhouse, number 7. And Keystone Manor, number 13, right next door. So behind lock and key, that would be the field out back, though. Though that doesn't. There's 2. Oh, behind, right, because the streets out front. Buried out back behind both. That would be the field they both share. Yeah, see, I was stuck on looking at these two. But obviously that wouldn't work. This is what we're looking for, the unmarked field behind lock and key. A large, flat slab of granite marks the otherwise empty field. It bears an inscription. On this spot, in the year 1813, Arthur Key did shoot and kill the beloved horse of Wellington Lock. Buried at the foot of the slab, I find an unlocked chest containing a handful of legal documents, as well as a pistol and another item that catches my attention. Ooh, ominous. Had the look of black leather, but it is slate embedded with some sort of polished stones. Interesting. We'll hang that up, I guess, over here. Another rainy day. But something tells me we won't be hurting for business. Morning, sweetheart. Who's our first for the day? Oh, Eli White. Hey, boss. Well, the shop is still standing. That's something. Say what you will about Undermere, but this town is never quiet for long. I leave for a few days, and suddenly everyone's talking about ravens and curses. I'm going to need to find Verona to get up to speed on what's going on. At least I didn't come away from Ravenglass empty-handed. I can always rely on quiet Susan to unearth an interesting trinket or two. Okay. Good luck, boss. Glad to see you're still alive. I honestly thought you'd be MIA for at least a while longer. And there's our feathers, so that's probably our levitation charm, though it does seem counterintuitively large. Next. Oh. Hey, Jupiter. What's up, baby? Edith Moore, with a very familiar amulet. I am not a good person. I'm pushing away the only people I care about. Help me do better, please. I have to change, but I don't know how. What do you have that can help me banish my inner demons and make the changes stick this time? Well, Miss Moore, that is a very interesting question. Let me see what I can do for you. Though I am also surprised that we got such immediate reactivity to our, I want to say, day 2 choice. Change. Hornshackle or Libula. Okay, well there we go. Hornshackle bestows the ability to overcome personal demons. That certainly sounds like what we're looking for, and we've already got it tagged, so... Here you go, Miss Moore. I certainly can't guarantee the results, but hopefully this should help you escape your spiral of shame. Though it does make me wonder what would have happened if we'd chosen the other thing instead. I'm gonna guess murder or revenge. I mean, a lot of the choices in the first game could end up killing various customers. Something I generally try to avoid, not great for business. Not to mention it all influenced which ending you got. Oh, shoot. Sorry, baby. Francesca Robertson. The Evocant didn't snap Mr. Hungerford out of it, unfortunately. It's strange. At times he appears almost awake, but he is deep in some kind of trance, and I can't get anything out of him. He seems to be searching for something. I'm beginning to suspect this is beyond my skill set, but I'm not willing to give up quite so easily. I know it's a bad idea, but I'm going to need a sleep vessel to get me through this week. Sleep vessel. Well, let's see what we've got. Sleep vessel. The 6 points of the sleep vessel are said to represent the 6 thaumic disciplines: Selenic, Dradic, Noctic, Diurnic, Wixic, and Mentic. They help people to stay awake beyond any natural limits by storing their fatigue. Over time and repeated use, they become more and more difficult to handle, as though the undreamed nightmares within are beginning to seep out. 6 points. Possible negative vibes. And right off the bat, this one jumps out at me. 6 points, crafted of 2 materials, bronze and iron. Somewhat painful to the touch. And filled to overflowing with darkness. Yes, I'd say that's probably our guy. Alright, Dr. Robertson, here's your sleep vessel. Just, use sparingly. Methinks we'll tag that one in white. Resonance compass. Points towards nearby resonant objects, the only objects that can be detected in this way. Resonant objects are highly prized both by thaumaturges and those who collect occult curiosities. Which obviously implies that's a tool we're going to need later down the line. Oh, swap the tag on this. No, wait, that's blue. I meant white. White for neutral. Or rather, items that are potentially useful but come with clear drawbacks. All right. Hey, sweetheart. Next. Althea O'Shea. Many years ago, I owned a silent breath, but it was already old when I inherited it, and its powers died soon after. It's about time I replaced it. Silent breath. Silent breath. There are those that consider the white heart a prize to be claimed, but there is no glory to be had from killing such a noble guardian of the forest. A silent breath contains a small token taken from a living white stag. While the stag lives, the item will retain its power, allowing the bearer to sense danger before it arrives. The white stag, guardian of the forest. Okay, well, right off the bat, we know we've got this stag figurine. Made of clay, could have been molded around a token, perhaps. Though we have no real way of knowing that. I mean, I guess maybe if it... No. No unusual sensations, no heightened perception, or other similar effect. Inside this, perhaps? A gold and bejeweled urn. But again, how would we know? Unless it gives us a sensation, perhaps. A smell like rotten eggs. Okay, well, I'm going to say that's probably not it. Oh, right, of course. And that right there immediately clinches it. Yes, a vial containing a single white hair. That's actually a really nice piece. That's the kind of esoterica I wouldn't mind having as just like a decoration. So yeah, white hair. Clear signs of danger sense. Here you go, Miss O'Shea. Watch yourself out there. White hair. Made my senses come alive. Elva Stone. Used to relieve discomfort caused by otherwise incurable ailments such as Braxis or burning blood. Planetary metal associated with Selenic discipline. A connection that is also reflected in their design. Well, Selenic implies moon. And we do have a big chunk of rock capped with a crescent moon, top left. But we'll refrain from tagging it until we're sure. Hey, cutie. Next. Rufus, Shelley. I've always wanted to try a Daedalus link. I have a personal interest in the Celestial branch, so I'm not completely new to such things, nor am I ignorant of the risks. And now I have a good reason for it. I need to take care of some roof repairs, and this would seem the safest way to approach it. I mean, I don't know about that, Mr. Shelley. From what I read, it sounded like the levitation field it provides is pretty delicate. Surprisingly light in weight, designs vary, but they may point to some facet of flight. A feather or the wings of a bird or insect, for example. Okay, well, we have a very obviously feathered urn, but I feel like that's too bulky, and it certainly looked too heavy to be something associated with levitation. Well, I'm hard-pressed to imagine what else it might be. It did specify they're unusually light, so perhaps if we weigh it, we'll see something unusual, though that dipped pretty quick. Yeah, I don't think this is it. So what else could it be? Something related to flight. No feathers, no obvious insect motifs. We've got the bat and the bird amulets up top. That looks to be leaves, not feathers. So this? I mean, that seems like it's probably our best bet. Though amulets are already naturally light. I mean, it's not like this would have been heavy otherwise. Even made of silver. I'm not super convinced on that because, like, it is bird motif, it is light. You know what, maybe I'm overthinking it, but we should, I suppose, take a look at the bat amulet as well. Iron set with a black gem. Okay, so this is clearly not what we're looking for. This enhances hearing, which will be good to know later, but not what we're looking for now. Which I guess really just kind of leaves either the urn, which is 2 pounds, or this tiny little amulet, which we already know, yeah, is less than half a pound. That's got to be like 6 ounces of silver. But we'll give it a shot. Worst case scenario, we just gain some dread. Alright, fair enough. I guess I really did just get stuck overthinking it. Bird connected to flight. Item is light. It is funny that sometimes simplicity can make things more complex. Cusick Purifier. A small topaz gemstone known as the Eye, placed in a strong-smelling liquid. Small tokens such as rings or amulets, perhaps, submerged in the liquid and left for a full cycle of the moon are cleansed. lifts curses or hexes. Okay. So basically a small topaz gem, noted. Not sure that matches anything we've currently got on display, aside from perhaps one of those autumn-themed amulets, but we'll certainly keep it in mind. Also, much like the resonant compass, it does smack of a process we'll almost certainly end up having to carry out ourselves later down the line. Hey, sweetheart. Next. Edmund Bishop. The ravens are back, I see. Looks like it's going to be worse this time. After speaking to Verona, I've come to extend an open invitation to visit Gleaston Castle. My family has lived there for generations, and I know there are artifacts that would be of use to you, gathering dust in hidden corners. All I ask is that you stay out of the South Tower and the master bedroom. And run anything you find by me first, of course. Of course, manners are important. And end of day. Though before we do that, oh wow, look at that. We've got a full-blown submap. He also gave us a note, so perhaps that'll give us a good place to start. Here's something to get you started. Walk past the main staircase and turn left. Follow that corridor down to the end and go through the door to the left. There is a small plinth in the corner of that room with an item on it that you are welcome to. I never did like it anyway. Edmund. Right. So let's give this a gander. Past the main staircase, turn left. Room at the end of the corridor. So this has to be our main staircase, right? So left, and then that would imply this room here? Just off the courtyard? Nope, that is not the room we're looking for. Which does, unfortunately, net us some dread, though a small enough amount we should be able to easily absorb it with a good night's sleep. So yeah, I mean, he must mean then... Past the main staircase, turn left, follow the corridor down to the end. Okay, so he must mean to turn right then, unless there's another main staircase I'm overlooking. But I can't imagine what else you would call the main staircase. So I think what he means is to walk through here and then go all the way to the end, to the room just off the conservatory. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else it would reasonably be. Though if this fails, then we'll just sleep on it. Nope, there we go. The plinth is not hard to spot in the corner of the room, next to a small writing desk. A glass jar houses the object mentioned in Edmund's note. As I gather the item and turn to leave, my eye is drawn to a green book on the desk. The author's name is of particular interest. I pick it up and find Edmund on the way out, who encourages me to take it with me. I try to insist on paying for it at least, but he won't entertain the idea. Stand up, guy. Let's see what we got. Gemstones and Their Thalmic Properties by Eli White. Oh, and I mean, that's obviously got to be our Selenic totem. Silver, also moon-related. We'll go ahead and toss it up top left with the other prime suspect. Which means we need to move the esoteric coaster. And let's give this a quick peek. Which I imagine is just yet another layer of future complexity. Oh yeah, see? A pretty succinct breakdown of each potential gemstone type. By color, by thaumaturgical leaning. And then other key descriptors. Pretty much guaranteed to come into play later down the line. Which I like. I mean, that's how the first game worked as well. Started off fairly simple for your first few days, and then slowly but steadily grew more complex. Hey, sweetheart. Alright, folks. Well, we're past the 40-minute mark, so that means this is probably a good place to call it. Though I suppose it wouldn't hurt if we went ahead and ended the day, then we could get a gander at our clue for tomorrow. End of day 4. At the end of a long passageway, after days spent clearing away dangerous rockfalls, the duo came upon a chamber. In it they found a small stone tomb, too small to contain human remains. Ominous. Okay. Once again, very obviously the outline of a building. Looks like it's actually cut into the card this time, so I imagine we just need to run it over the map and find a building of appropriate shape. That said, however, we will go ahead and call it here. I do think that's apt to be the trend. 2 days per episode feels about right. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll go ahead and poke around on the map between episodes, figure out where we're headed. And we'll pick up there next time. Though I will say, it is really great to be back. You know, it's just such a chill, atmospheric vibe, but still with that constant undercurrent of esoteric, eldritch dread. Also, cat. And a tiny spider. Get out of here, spider. Nobody likes your style. So yes, pause button for now, and we will pick up here next time. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Miri V23, Revenant, Eloise, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakith, Egon Alter, Excelsior, Gottlieb, James Tremay, Lady Shayna, Mark Jams, and Nathan Welch Jr., Overlord Ferrum, Random Passerby, Robbie B, Thomas Piatkowski, Trip Hop and Skip, and Valenrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.